Hi guys, welcome to episode 38 already. Here at Bakersfield, we're gonna go to Oceano, and we're lucky because there is marginal VMC currently at Oceano near the ocean, which is not that much of a surprise. Yeah, I'm going to discuss that soon. First, ForeFlight, have a look at these very nice blue bulbs. So that means marginal VFR. And what kind of marginal VFR do we have? And why am I so let me tell you why I am so excited about this. So as you can see, 10 statute miles of visibility, overcast at 2000. Yeah, that's interesting. We've got to the south, Santa Maria. Let's see what Santa Maria is reporting. METAR scattered at 1300 and overcast at 2000. Very interesting weather. Well, I'm excited for one. Hey, goedenavond, Raymond. Hi. Because first, I'd like to see some clouds. I mean, in the previous flights, yeah, we've had well, perfect flying weather, which is fine by definition. But there are some clouds there in the difference. But I also like to learn how to fly with more clouds in the sky, because as private pilots, we need to stay clear of clouds, and so that might be, well, a new dimension to flying, to make sure that we don't cross through those clouds and, well, incorporate cloud avoidance during our flight. So that's something that I'm really excited about. Secondly, I've got Active Sky 2016 and Active Sky Cloud Art. And, well, in clear skies, you don't see much of that weather engine power. So I'm really looking forward to see how overcast looks like in my flight simulation. So that's also why I'm excited to visit Oceano today. And thirdly, because we're going to Oceano, that's our starting point to start with the CAT ratings. The first one, the non-towered to non-towered airport flight, which is in my case, hey, just Alex, welcome aboard. It's very basic still, but I don't care. I like these PilotEdge ratings. So we're going to start there, perhaps do some traffic patterns, and perhaps also just learn a little bit about weather near the coast and see how that influences traffic pattern flying, or perhaps we can do some other training there before we start on those CAT ratings. Anyway, Oceano, that's our place to be. Chances are that on the PilotEdge network we might come across many other pilots who are starting their CAT ratings. Excuse me. Still a little bit hungry. Yeah, so that's cool too. Anything else I need to mention? Yeah, my sticky notes. Haven't referred to those in the previous episode. So one that I have added. Again, these sticky notes. I've started using these, very basic app here, to archive or keep track of all the stuff that I need to improve on during my flights. And so I thought, well, what's a nice, easy, informal kind of way using sticky notes as my wall of feedback or as my wall of improvement, as a reminder of the stuff that I need to improve on before I start my flight or before I start my stream even. This stuff I review quite regularly, but I don't do that on stream. So I thought today, let's do that. So for once here, this particular sticky note, I've added the idea that not only you're using visual reference points, not only radio navigation during your flight planning, but also time, elapsed time. Talked about that in the previous episode, suggested to me by you guys, which is very, very relevant, I think. And I shouldn't forget using time, elapsed time or plan time as a way to make sure that I know where I am. Hey, Kimo, welcome on board. Yeah, I've added that one, but let's see what other kind of sticky notes I have. I haven't reviewed them all and share them with you. Look outside before you turn, still quite relevant. So before you make a turn as a VFR pilot, make sure outside there's no other traffic before you make your turn. Something that every student pilot, I guess, during the first phase of his training will be drilled to do. perform circuit breaker test before engine start. Well, perform circuit breaker test is just testing whether those circuit breakers behind the yoke there are not popped out, I guess. Which I forgot to do apparently by reviewing all my previous episodes. Climbing, descending airways, gentle turns. Oh, also something interesting. So I was wondering, when you are flying on a airway, well, it doesn't really matter which one, but for example, Victor 25 here, up north or whatever, then you would go, if you pick Victor 25, you would go to a westbound direction generally, right? So you would pick a even numbered cruising altitude, like 6,500 or 8,500. Now, what if you're flying on 8,500 or 6,500 and you like to climb to 8,500? Obviously, during your climb, you're going to cross all kinds of altitudes, eastbound altitudes, that other pilots who are going southbound, eastbound in this case, might also use. And so you might have run the risk of flying well, head-to-head and bumping into other aircraft. Well, obviously that airway is quite thick, 4 nautical miles on each side, so that airway is 8 nautical miles width. So that's well, that also decreases the chances of you flying in or even spotting other traffic, I guess. But still, it's something that I thought about. And actually, the FAA and well, I found on the internet several pilots who were noticing that risk and were suggesting to make gentle turns if you're, for example, descending or climbing through, just to make sure that you keep a close eye on any air traffic that is, well, near you, in front of you, or whatever, and constantly keep a visual, a lookout of any other traffic, which I found quite interesting. Sticky notes. Whoop. Yeah. And something that I needed to remember. Anything else? Crosswind correction during taxi. Yeah, well, you haven't found. Currently, we're flying in winds calm condition. Perhaps in Oceano, we've got some winds, well, that's something that I need to remember as well. During taxi, crosswind correction. You need to use your yoke as well to make sure that your plane is not being lifted off the ground. So you need to counter those actions, especially when the winds are a bit stronger. Something that I need to remember as well. Touchdown once the stall horn sounds, not sooner. Yeah, it had to do with my airspeeds at touchdown. We talked about that several times. So you could say that the stall horn is something like your celebration sound, or something that you're doing the touchdown right. In some kind of way, just below, just when you flare out on the runway, you should really allow the airplane to fall on its feet by itself. So that stall horn is a good kind of target, helping you to make those touchdowns correctly. Turn off taxi lights before takeoff. Roll. Oh yeah, that's also a good one. Noticed that one during my X-Plane flights at John Wayne at night. Flying at night in X-Plane is just gorgeous. I'm also looking forward to see how Prepar3D has perhaps evolved in light effects during night, and also ORBX. But we'll find that out very soon. Turn off taxi lights before takeoff. Roll. Yeah, it's obvious. On CTAV, announce aircraft type and aircraft color, not your registration number. We talked about that in the previous episode as well. Although on PilotEdge, though, your color scheme, your particular customized color scheme in my case, is not shared with other pilots. So using your color scheme doesn't help anyone on the PilotEdge network, but perhaps for training purposes in preparation of your real-world flying, it is. So that's interesting. Brief the VFR reference points around your departure and destination area. Oh, that's also very interesting. Yeah, a mistake that I made, or a suggestion that Keith shared or did a long time ago. So a lot of airports, let's just pick John Wayne because I know there are some visual reference points over there, have these designated, well, visual reference points around. Those are those magenta flags. So here you can see Newport Bay. You can see here Signal Peak. And so before you before you arrive or even plan your flight to your destination airport, it's good to familiarize yourself with these visual reference points, because chances are, as also on PilotEdge, that the controllers will refer to these points and actually instruct you to fly to those before you enter the pattern, which was the case for me, and I didn't know at all what they meant. So they said, well, please fly to signal point and then enter downwind, blah, 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 blah. Well, at that time, when you're already preparing for the arrival, you don't have much cognitive power left to get the map and all that stuff while you're doing your pre-landing checks. So also a good reminder, your arrival airport, to spot any of those, because chances are controllers will use them. They are there for a reason, right? Interesting. Other sticky notes here. I got a blue one over there. Monitor tower before run up to raise situational awareness traffic pattern. Also very nice one that I grabbed from some real-world training, real-world pilot training. Had to do with the fact that before you do your... so while you're taxiing from the ramp to the runway, you monitor ground, right? Because perhaps the ground controller will say stop or, well, whatever. No, you can receive any kind of instruction, so you need to make sure that you're tuned in. But chances are, when you're at the run-up near the runway, where you're going to depart soon, ground controller will not really instruct you any other or not provide you any other instructions. So from that point on, you can tune to tower as well to listen to any inbound or outbound traffic, and you get an idea, situational awareness of the airport. Now, in Flight Sim, I don't know how it is in Explained it works, but in Prepared, I remember that doesn't really work yet, or it has something to do with PilotEdge. It is much safer here not to switch frequencies from ground to tower, but just tune in on the COM2 on tower and monitor both frequencies at the same time. Especially when the airport isn't busy, that might be a good alternative or a primary way of doing this. But I don't know if PilotEdge actually offers that ability. Hey Ben, good evening. To have PilotEdge frequencies on both controllers. I know there's a plugin now for Explain that does enable that feature, but I don't know for Prepared. I don't think it's there yet. Anyhow, interesting, I think. Let me just get this out of the way. After engine checks includes comm sets, but also navs. Yeah, that's an obvious one. I guess I'm going to remove that that one soon. Before taxi, use tow brakes to release parking and perform immediate brake. Use tow brakes to release parking brake and perform immediate brake, turn, slip. Yeah, that's just the after taxi checks, which I did perfectly, I think, in the previous episodes, but I forgot about in a couple of episodes before. Ben, you're looking at the previous previous episodes. Good to hear. Exciting. Anything else here? Oh yeah, that's just the last one that I'm going to discuss, and I think I've discussed them all then. A repeat position and weather information at ground after clearance delivery. So we don't have to do that much with clearance delivery as a VFR pilot, except when you are requesting flight following. Because then at a Charlie airport, Class Charlie airport, you tune into clearance delivery first. You say, hey, here I am, I'd like to have flight following on this altitude, blah, 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 blah. And I presumed that then when you mention, hey, I'm here at the east ramp and I have information Bravo, that then the clearance guy would tell that or write that information down, so that when the control tower or when the ground controller receives me, when I announce my or request my taxi clearance, he will know where I am and that I already have weather information. But that is not the case, because it's a different guy apparently also at PilotEdge, even though it is the same controller. You need to repeat your position and your weather information also when you switch from clearance delivery to ground. So that's something that I need to remember as well. Nice. So I will go through these sticky notes, I guess, after the stream to see which ones are still relevant, or perhaps we should add some more. But I think it's really interesting just to have some kind of a target or some feedback and archive it, to keep track of those things, to know where your weaknesses are or what the points are, the items are that you need to like to improve on. I think that's nice. Anyhow, where are we? Here are we. So, Bakersfield to Oceano to marginal VFR weather. Hey, Steeler, thank you for hosting. Thanks. The more passengers, the better. Still a bit hungry, guys. Sorry. Yeah, so marginal VFR weather at the coast. Going to be exciting. Cannot wait. So what I'm going to do with the pre-flight right now, I'm going to do it a little bit different. I am going to do the pre-flight, but I'm not going to think out loud. Why? Because I think there's a subtle difference in doing that, just for my training purposes, just to see whether I can just go through the flow in a more rapid pace. It also becomes a little bit more my own, I think. And also in the previous episodes, I noticed, obviously, as you guys probably have noticed as well, it takes a lot of time, all this pre-flight stuff, also the weather stuff, and it gets quite repetitive. So especially for this stream, at least, for this particular episode, I'm just going to get a more rapid pace going. See if you can follow me along. I'm using the checklist by heart, mostly. This checklist of the A2A Cessna 172, free download PDF on the uncertifiedpilot.com. Have a look. I've also prepared a cheat sheet of the 172 exterior walk around with all the pictures in and arrows pointing out what the differences are and what you need to look for in the images of all the different mechanical elements of the aircraft, so you're much more prepared. But I've asked A2A first for permission for publicly sharing that cheat sheet, so I'm hoping to get a positive reply soon. As soon as I do, I will post it on Twitter as well, or Facebook, or all my channels, and you can download that cheat sheet as well. I think it's very educational. Thank you, Captain. Thank you. Yeah, it's just a quick meal after dinner before we get into the air. More like a dessert, really. Okay, so that's the idea. Flight planning. Okay, so first off, I'm going to check Bakersfield. We're on stream, yeah. So first that I'm noticing here is VMC. Just have a quick look what that means. Clear sky, 10 second miles, and we've got variable winds, 0.4 knots. So winds are calm, so that's perfect. So we can just depart on runway 16, going south and make a right turn. We'll head to that highway again. We're going to cross a military area VR1262. Need to look out for military aircraft because those are generated right on the PilotEdge network. We're going to overfly Taft and also some other Victor Airways here, but Taft is going to be a alternate in case we still suffer from something that I've overseen on my pre-flight checks, a flap failure or whatever. So Taft is going to be a alternate, and we're going to just tune into Fellows VOR. We could do this visually, but I'm expecting, especially on the other side of this mountain terrain, here on the ocean side, you can see here that the marginal VMC shows overcast and scattered clouds. And especially when it's overcast, as a VFR pilot, at least as a private pilot, not as a student pilot yet, but as a private pilot, you are allowed to fly across above overcast if you're if you're high enough. I think 2,000 feet, I believe. I don't know for sure. But the problem is you cannot fly through the overcast. So if there's overcast on your destination airport, you're in big shit because you cannot fly through it. So an alternative is to fly underneath it before you reach that overcast area. So I thought, just in case the visibility worsens when I get near Oceano, let me just fly an outbound radial from Fellows, because perhaps I will lose visual reference with the ground, towards Oceano, and also stay a little bit more low to the terrain. I mean, these mountain peaks are at 4,400 or 3,000. You can see 2,500. Stay a little bit close to the terrain and get to Oceano that way underneath the overcast cloud layer. So that's my whole approach. Notice to pilots, California condors, endangered species. I guess that refers to those areas, wilderness areas, but I don't know for sure. Pilots are requested to maintain 3,000 feet terrain clearance when over these study areas. Yeah, I guess, oh yeah, those are the arrows pointing to those areas. Okay, so nothing that concerns us. In terms of airspaces, we've got a Delta Airports here, St. Louis. Need to visit that airport too. Never done so before. But need to make sure that we're not going to fly into that because PilotEdge is live right now with the controllers, which is cool. Raymond, the map looks complicated. Well, but I love these charts, and you can actually learn about these charts for free. PilotEdge, the PilotEdge YouTube channel offers a lot of workshops by Keith, where he is explaining everything you need to know about these charts and more in preparation of your PilotEdge flights, which are highly recommended videos, 2 or 3 hour videos. It starts from the bare minimums, from bare scratch, which is very educational, highly recommended. Also, we've got some other airspace here. Well, all that magenta stuff that you're seeing is just echo airspace. You can ignore that entirely. That's only relevant to weather separation. So in those areas, we need to be more aware of visibility and remaining clear of clouds, because those are areas where other IFR flights will probably be flying. And so those areas are meant for that. But in any case, you don't need to worry. If you need to worry about those weather conditions, as Keith always mentions or describes, if you're worrying about whether you need to stay that close to clouds in order to continue your flight, you're doing something wrong. So in any case, you can just ignore these magenta airspaces because they don't concern any controlling or contacting ADC at all. So that's just Oceano 122.7, a right pattern, I see RP, beneath RP, so right pattern is for runway 11, and looking at the winds, just using these METAR information, you can see winds are calm, so 210, so it doesn't really matter on which runway we land. I guess I'm just going to depend that on what the drone traffic is doing, if there's any drone traffic on Oceano. I believe there was, so I don't fly into that traffic at all. So chances are most of the times winds are coming from the ocean, so we're going to land on runway 29, also because the winds are coming from 210 at 4. Okay, well, we don't have any. What we could do is triangulate our position if we don't find Oceano. So obviously we can fly an outbound radial from Fellows, but we can also set nav2 on what is this, Morro Bay VOR, and triangulate this direction, right? And we can pinpoint where Oceano is. So that's something to keep in mind as well, just to make sure, because of that weather. So that's not a bad idea to tune in nav2 on that side. And again, also just to apply what I've just been reading and talking about in terms of my feedback, it's also good. We now have our DME. I've removed the GPS from my cockpit, and because of that, I received a DME, which is pretty handy. Otherwise, we could just use timing, right? So at 100 knots, let's see what ForeFlight is saying. This leg, 100 knots, takes me 22 minutes and 4 gallons of fuel. So if I don't reach Oceano after 22 minutes, I know that I went too far, given that I was flying 100 knots. I guess this is just ground speed, or does it take into account all the headwinds and tailwinds? I don't know. Let me just check ForeFlight to see what it does. 4,000 feet, well, that's fine. Winds aloft, 4 knots headwind. Yeah, coming from the ocean, which makes sense. 82 nautical miles, 13 gallons. Well, we refueled in the previous episode, so that's good. 50-minute flight, awesome. Okay, so we discussed airspaces, military airway over there, a couple of Victor airways that we're going to pass, across Fellows, triangulation, timing, endangered species. I think we discussed everything that we need to discuss. Hey Didion, welcome on board. It depends on the circle. You can browse here for maps. The ones he's looking at on Sky Vector. Depends on the circle. The most common, what are the circles? Raymond asks. What are the circles? Yeah, indeed, it depends. There are a lot of circles on these maps. So you see, this one is a this one. Oh, can I Bloop. This bigger one is a VOR in the middle. This smaller one is an airspace. There's a lot of information here. But again, indeed, go to skyvector.com or go to those workshop videos of PilotEdge and you will learn. And well, you will open up to an awesome world, intellectual dimension of flight simulation, which is so awesome. Using these charts is just great. Anything else that I need to incorporate? Fuel already did. Alternate airports. Well, weather. I'd like to have a more closer look at the weather. I'm not going to use that file and brief function, but just the charts because I love charts. Also should have added that other chart. Forecasted ceilings, I believe. I didn't do that yet. Should. General idea, no low pressure areas here in California. So generally that points out that we've got, well, good weather, no rain or precipitation forecast, but we can see here, we can see some IMC, which is interesting. So at the coast, also up to down to Southern California, you can see 06 Zulu. It's currently 18, it's currently 19 hours, 1900 hours Zulu. So 06 Zulu was a long time ago, and there was IMC near the coast. You can see that red line. Well, you can see it also here on the bottom what that means. Ceiling less than 1,000 feet and a visibility less than 3 miles. That's classical, by definition, IMC. So there's IMC. I would say then, looking at the particular graph of that red line, that it's on the coast, which is kind of, you would expect that it would be on that coast, and it just is stable, stationary near the coast. And if we move up to 18 Zulu, which was just an hour ago, you can see that IMC would still be there. And that explains why we see that marginal VFR, not really IMC yet, on the coast, right? Those blue circles there. So we know that on the ocean side, there is a lot of bad stuff that we don't need to don't like to fly into. Good to know. Obviously then, AirMats, so the weather pilot experts, hey future airline pilots, welcome. Thank you that you're enjoying my streams. Good to hear. Good to hear. Really supportive, and I really appreciate that feedback. Thanks. Good to hear that you're enjoying the A2A Cessna 172 as well. Many people do. I mean, it's a trainer, but just any aircraft of A2A is just great. Anyway, AirMats, so you can see that those confirm what we just seen in the previous chart. IFR and BR stands for mist, right? Fog. Also some clouds, low clouds and fog there. There's the purple area there, which is our area. Again, confirms what we're seeing with the METARs. Moving on, and this was valid until right corner 1500 Zulu. So this is old. This is already a dated chart, but I guess it will be, well, not really. So you can see that the clouds and the fog have been dissipated. This is 1800 Zulu, so this is an hour ago. So you can see that the weather is kind of improving. And that's also something that you would expect, because here at 1500 Zulu, this would be local time just in the early morning, or even at night, I guess. I don't know. I guess it's morning. I don't know for sure. And so the air is much more cooler, much more condensation, and when the sun rises and the whole landscape and well, everything warms up, then the clouds also dissipate. So you get a general, more bigger picture of what the weather does, which is quite interesting. Also, I was thinking about, I don't know if you guys would like me to do that, but I've got some great books also suggested by you that relate or totally about aviation and student pilot training. And I'm studying a book now on weather, aviation related weather planning and that kind of stuff. I think it would also be cool just to introduce some kind of a hangar talk kind of stream where I'm not in the cockpit, but I'm in the hangar, and well, I'm just on stream. I guess when we have just a plain view from the tower to the airport and perhaps see some PilotEdge aircraft, but no flying. But I will just discuss the stuff that I've been reading about and think interesting, kind of like a book review or something like that. Would you guys be interested in that? Let me know. If you're also watching this on YouTube, put it into the comments or on Twitter or whatever. Let me know, because that might be a nice option to expand on the channel. Let me know. No convective segments active, so no thunderstorms and that stuff. Also good to know. So these are ceilings, cloud ceilings, where you can see immediately again at the coast. Ceilings, so around 1,000, 3,000 feet. marginal VFR. If they were much more higher up, we would just have VMC. 1800 pseudo, so this is an hour old, so yeah, that's something that is quite relevant for us, okay? Then satellite imagery, well, very clear, you can see, right? IMC on the ocean, near the coast, stationary there, but I much more prefer this one, as you know, and as you can see, comparing, your first impression, at least mine, would be if I look at these clouds, I would say, oh my gosh, thick clouds. A lot of clouds, cloud formation there near the coast at Oceano. But if you look at the infrared, you see that those clouds are actually not that thick. Well, what does that mean? I don't know. Perhaps less turbulence or bad weather, but still, it's interesting to see what the difference is in function between these different charts. Then visibility, this is a little bit more south. Is this a little bit south to us? Yeah, I guess it is. But there are some visibility issues there near the south. We've got plenty of visibility as we've been looking at the METARs. Yeah, Captain Cribble, you like that? The hangar talk. Hey, Jim, I have no sound, but I'm watching. Okay, UK, Jim. Well, I hope the sound then enables soon at your place. But thank you for visiting. Winds 3000 MSL. Well, they go all over the place. Let me go a little bit more higher up. This is forecasted valid to 2000 Zulu. 3-hour forecast. Okay, coming from the coast. Exactly, land inwards. About 10 nautical, about 10 knots or so. Okay, confirms the METARs. Again, it's confirmation after confirmation, but you get a general picture and a very reliable picture of what the weather is doing. And not only for the local weather at your airport, but also in general, know what to expect. No turbulent, SIGMET's ready. Still don't know exactly what this map is for. I guess this is just kind of, yeah, this is an AirMat, so this is more like if the weather pilot weather experts indicate that there's a really dangerous turbulence that we need to be aware of. And this is just a more fine-grained kind of turbulence chart, I guess. So, well, if these guys don't spot anything serious, then I guess this chart is also a bit irrelevant. But anyhow, just a pretty chart, so let's put it in and keep it in. No icing, SIGMET's valid, and if we go high up to 13,000 feet with our Skyhawk, then we might run into some freezing conditions, and that might be relevant if we also see some clouds, marginal VFR, because then icing could occur. Okay, that's it. Weather, good weather, but we need to be very wary of that marginal VMC. I'm excited to see what it looks like, guys, with Active Sky 2016 and Cloud Arts. That completes our weather briefing, or at least mine. Okay, then I'm just going to start. OA. Let me sync. Whoop. Okay. First thing that I'm going to do is reset the cabin. Remember the flows, guys. Off. This one is on. Let me see if my Saitek panel works. Yeah, did you see? I just switched my Saitek panel, just one particular switch, if it's the rotary here of my engine switch or whatever, and automatically the fuel pump goes on. Weird. Anyhow, this is all right. Spark brake sets, fire extinguisher, live vest. This is closed. Auto. We've got the cabin air is open. Flaps are up, and they are up. Levers work, trim works and is set. Cutoff is in. Let's put the fuel tanks to both already. As alternate static air is in, off. Then we go up. Transponders off. This is all on, and GPS is on, which is great. Let's fly old school. This is all set. Nothing that we need to worry about right now. So we have reset our cabin. So that is good. Then we can turn on the batteries. We see fuel, at least in the gauge here, indicating that we have plenty of fuel, which is good. Then we're going to put on all the lights, landing lights, taxi lights, strobe lights, nav lights, and the pitot heat. Although the pitot heat tube cover is still on, but it's now removed. Then we're going to go outside, have a look if those lights are really on, if they're actually working. On, position lights, strobe lights, on that side as well. Beacon. And let me see the position light, guys. Yeah, it's on. Okay, then the stall warning, stall horn. And I would like to see the pitot, feel the pitot tube. See if it's warm. And it's warm, so that's working as well. Awesome. So that means lights can go off. Beacon remains on. Pitot tube, pitot heat is also off. Then we move on with our flow. We move to the right. Blah, blah, blah. These are closed. Oh no, yeah, exactly. I need to put the avionics on. We hear peep. So that's working as well. Then we're going to go to the right. Flaps down. See if those flaps go down in sync. Oh yeah, I forgot about one item. Flight control check. I should have done that before I started. Yeah, then we go up. Let's see if the transponder is working. All the digits are working. So this is the test mode, which is good. Put it off. This is all good. We're going to set that soon. Annunciator panel. Obvious readings. Good readings. No low fuel warning. That's the most important one, which is good. It's all set. This is all set as well. And we've got plenty of fuel. And then we're back again. And then we turn the avionics off first. And then the battery. Done. But I forgot about one item, which is the flight control test. Down to the right. Looks good. Looks good. Other way around. Goes down. Yeah, doesn't go down. Elevator. Up, down, and then... Oh, my control wheel lock was on. I heard that. Didn't remove that one, I guess, because the aircraft loaded in a different situation. I don't know. Pull. Let's turn the trim tab to see if the trim tab there, elevator, is actually working, and it is. And I would like to see my rudders. Yeah, that's working as well. And my parking brake was just released because I tapped my toe brakes. Let's reset it again. Okay, flight controls work. That completes the interior checks. Then we can go outside. I like this pace, guys. Let's go outside. Let's go out. Okay. No dust and stuff in there. Closed. Tie down removed. Ha! I know where to look for now. He said. Is good. Is good. Is good. Is good. And I would like to see a wiggle. There is. I should also now have a better look at the antenna, ELT antenna, and the comm radios. I'm a little bit high up here, but somehow this view is zoomed in. So I need to, well, reset this viewpoint to have a better view here on these elements. But it's a little bit weird looking to the right. Anyhow, let's move on. Flaps. There's a wiggle. Let's have a look. This looks good. This always worries me, this bit, but I think that is right. He said. And then we move on to the ailerons. Look good. Looks good. Looks perfect. Okay. Again, you would feel the leading edges and all that stuff. Tied downs removed. Wheels secure. Everything looks good. Then fuel sump, no water in it. Fuel tanks, so confirms our reading. Oil, got enough oil, but you can see that it is getting less with each flight, which is just as expected. It still has good color, but I guess around 6 we would refuel it back to 6 or 7 or so. Then some to fuel the engine, no contamination. Propeller blades. Let's have a look. There's no chunk out of these. Is simulated by A2A. Then the intakes, no bird's nests or other stuff in there. Static air is clear. Other tank also confirms our readings. In the cockpit, sump, no water. Wheels look good. In real life, also in X-Plane, I don't know if it's really, with the airfoil labs at least, it is really simulated. But there should be a red mark over here and a red mark over there. And then you can see whether the tires have somehow been moved on the on the frame, and you can see that they might have had a punch or something like that, and they might be damaged. So if those red dots are in sync, you know that there's nothing nothing as such has happened. Here is not simulated, I think. I don't see any of those. Then tie down here is removed. Stall horn rechecked is clear. Fuel vent is clear. Other edge, tip of the wing. Looks good. Looks good. Looks good. And then here wiggle is a bit slower than the other side, but apparently that is okay. Seems like the flip mirrored image of the other side, and I know that this is right. And that completes our exterior walk around. Awesome. So that means that we can start with our before start engine checklist. Hey, Captain Joseph, welcome on board. So first off, is that a briefing, passenger briefing? So guys, are you sitting comfortable? I hope you are. If not, please do get yourself a beer or some lemonade or something to eat, because we're going to fly. Seatbelts are secured. Briefing. So what we're going to do is we are going to depart from Bakersfield, runway 16. It's on the left of us. Do I say that right? Yeah, I do say that right, because I can just look at my compass. Yeah. And then we're going to depart 16. It's just see that frequency 122.8, straight out departure to the south, make a right turn, go to that highway. That's our first reference point, but we're going to fly into towards that fellow's radio VOR beacon. So we're going to tune that soon when the engine is started, and then outbound to Oceano. And we're going to triangulate just in case we don't spot Oceano. We can triangulate using the Morro Bay VOR to make sure that that we overflow it, have overflown it if we haven't spotted Oceano yet. Terrain, something that we need to be wary of also in terms of marginal VMC. I don't know how far it will stretch onto the onto this region, but I guess that the mountains kind of stop the weather of flowing to the east. So I guess when we overfly fellows, we'll be fine. Big Mac, is that an app you can get? Yeah, it's ForeFlight. Apparently, a lot of you guys are interested in this particular app. I've noted it down here in the channel below. It's ForeFlight. It's a real world. It's an app for real world pilots. Interactive with all the charts that you need, weather charts. It is kind of expensive though, but it's worth all the money, at least in my view. So I'm using this for flight simulation as well. You can actually also, I don't know if you can do this in Prepar3D. I think there is a plugin, but at least in Explain it works. You can also, through Bluetooth or even through Wi-Fi, I don't know for sure, send your current aircraft position onto your iPad into ForeFlight, and so you can actually know where you are. And well, in the real world, pilots can do that as well, and so you know exactly where you are. But I like to interpret charts and use the thinking myself rather than allowing a GPS to do that for me. So that's why I'm not doing that. So anything else that I need to be concerned of flying underneath that overcast? That's something that I'm still worried about at 2,000 feet. I guess also that those METARs altitudes are AGL and not MSL. What's the elevation? Well, at least at near the ocean, 14 feet. Yeah, it shouldn't be a problem in any case if that's MSL or AGL. But it's an interesting question if those METAR altitudes are MSL or AGL. Alrighty, so that's the briefing. Nothing else. We're not going to do any practice flight, just heading to Oceano. That's the idea. Then what we're going to do is make sure that our engine is reset for the engine start, especially the avionics. So again, have a look. These are off and avionics are off. And was there anything else that I need to check? Lights? No, because we're at daylight. I think that was it, but I'm doubting. So let's grab the checklist, and I should have grabbed the checklist with the previous phases as well, but I think I was spot on until now. Passenger briefing, flight rehearsal I did. Circuit breakers, Oh yeah, we should test the brakes and fuel tank selector to both. Yeah, make sure that the brakes are firm. Kind of like confirming already before you start your engine that you kind of already know that the brakes are working in case your engine goes full power or whatever. Cloud, METAR altitudes are AMSL. Okay, cool, cool. So let's do that right now. So let's release the parking brakes. Differential braking is working, and well, my rudder pedals feel firm. So I guess that's working. Parking brakes are set, and that completes the before engine start checklist. The engine start. Okay, now let's go, guys. Batteries are on. Fuel tanks were set to both. Throw a bit in. Let's prime the engine first. 1, 2, 3. Cut off. Fuel tank off. Hand on the mixture. Make sure no one is here. Let me sync my TrackIR before I do. Shall we close the door? Also, an important item. Not really that risky, I guess, when you start the engine. Some guys even text you with the door open, but yeah, I should have went through that one. Hands on the mixture and on the starter switch, and also that's why I love using these Saitek panels. Because doing this with the mouse is kind of impossible, or one hand on the mouse and one with a keyboard shortcut, I guess, to get the mixture full rich. But anyway, to both clear prop, full mixture as soon as the engine starts. 1200. There goes the oil pressure. Generator on. Leaning for ground, operation, something like that. Reset to 1000. Avionics on. Oil pressure is in the green. Flaps up. Transponder set to altitude mode. Can I turn this one on as well? Yeah, DME. Welcome. Thanks. This is great. Okay. Let's tune. Yeah, I'm on track right now. Yeah, so let's tune the radios. So we've got first our nav, our triangulate kind of thingy. So first is Fellows, 117.5. 117.5, right? 117.5, switch. Boom. No reading, well, we've got a reading. Good. Do we also have a DME? I guess we do. 44 nautical miles. Seems quite a trip. But it confirms 46 miles. Another way how we can identify whether we got the right VOR is Morse code. Identify it. So let's do that just for fun's sakes. And as I learned, I should pull this with my right click and then the nav 1. Beep 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 beep. Correct, it is verified. Nice. Cool, guys, did you think? Absolutely love your channel. Thank you, Jason Q. Thanks. Welcome on board. And thank you for hosting. Much appreciated. And following as well. Okay, so that's our first frequency, and it is confirmed. Then we're going to set our nav2. Triangulate, right? So that's going to be that Morro Bay 112.4. We're going to set that to nav2. 114. 114? No, 112.4. 112.4. Boom. That is set. Hosting. Yeah, great. Great. Let me see. Thank you for following Cap John. All captains are welcome. 112.4. Yeah, come on, concentrate. 112.4. Set in the nav2. We don't have a reading, as you can see over here. No, it isn't at all useful to identify it because it doesn't have a signal at all. But what we can do already is set the right radials inbound. I like to do that just in preparation, so I don't have to tune during the flight. So from Bakersfield to Fellows, we're gonna expect a heading of 240. So what we can do here is already set 240 and even catch that radial if we like to. And same goes for the triangulation exercise. If we have to use it, that would be a heading of 314. 314. Okay, so that's set just in case if the marginal VFR gets to us. Here's in-house the new Beast PC, Tim. Well, the PC is great. I'm loving it. What kind of frame rates do we have right now? We're now around 80, which is not that much, really. I expected more, but anyway, it's an entirely different experience. Kimo, any visual waypoints on your flight, Tim? Yeah, good question. Well, I mentioned a few, so just to make sure, we've got a highway here that we're first gonna pick on, or gonna spot over here. We've got a lake here to the south of our track. We've got a Taft, hopefully see. We've got mountains here. Then we got Twitchell Reservoir that we might spot, but here the weather gets a little bit bad, so visual reference pointing here might be a bad option, and that's why I'm using that outbound radio. Let me see. Okay. Tuned in comm frequencies. So Bakersfield is 112.8, and I know that Oceano is 112.70. Right? 112.7. Yeah. Okie doke, then we move on. Make sure that we've got the right altimeter setting. We don't have any ATIS here. What's the Bakersfield 378? So a little bit higher pressure went in here. 37. Yeah. So altimeter is 3004 or 3. Doesn't really matter that much. Okay. Anything else that I need to tune here? The heading bug 216, our departure runway. We fly inbound to 4, already set that. Fuel is good. Engine oil temperature is already in the green. And we are done. So that completes our after engine start checklist, our engine start, so we can start the taxi. Okay. Parking brakes released. Brake test works. There's the fuel station that we used, right? Now officially, well, let's just do that because I'm a oh no, we can go to the right over there. Turn indicator is working, heading indicator is working, and the attitude indicator is stable. Nice scenery here at Bakersfield. Default, or I'll default is default ORBX scenery, so it's always a little bit cuter than nice Piper Cubs, than the real default prepared scenery. But still. Let's make that right turn over here. Make sure no other aircraft is coming from the right. That taxi diagram confirms that we're going to the right direction. 416. Engine is in the green still, everything looks fine. So we're going to take off south to the right, highway, a lake, Taft, mountain, inbound to Fellows. Got that inbound radial already set. And how high are we going to fly? That's something that I didn't mention that explicitly before. I talked about 4,000 feet. We're going westbound, so 4,500 might be a good start. We can pick our own. In terms of the terrain, we've got some peaks at 4,400, I believe. So let's make use of this run-up area over here. Tail our butts away from the ramp. Okay, manual braking. Good. Engine is in the green, so we're allowed to do our run-up, or power check. Mixture full in. Fuel tanks are set to both. Let's go. Nice sound. 1800. No annunciator messages here. Oil pressure is stable. Instruments are stable, so that's good. Left mag. Small drop is good. Back to both. Right one is also working just fine. Landing light on. Let's see if the ammeter charges. If we do, bloop. Yep. So it's got enough power. Back to idle. Oil pressure is stable. No messages. Engine doesn't quit on us. Sounds good. And back to 1000. Okay-do. Landing lights on. Strobe lights on. Windows were already closed. I knew that. We don't need any flaps. Let's do the control. So one more time. Down, 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 up. Looks good. Rudder works as well. Straight out departure to the right, highway, 4,000 feet. Fellows inbound, and let's enjoy this flight, guys. Are you ready, passengers? Then let's take off. Don't need to do an announcement. I forgot about that last episode. Now, what we can do here on an uncontrolled airport, an untowered airport, is just have a visual inspection first. I'm just going to do that too, because there might be other traffic, Nordo traffic, not communicating on this frequency, but still in the traffic pattern. That's allowed. So also, let's have a look if there's no of such traffic in the pattern today, which looks good. Bakersfield traffic, Skyhawk Papa Hotel Tango, Mike is departing runway 16 for a departure to the west at 4,000 feet, Bakersfield. Okay, mixture full in, landing lights on, strobe lights on, landing block is set. Final view, no one on the runway. Okay, confirms, 16. Are you ready to go, guys? I am. Let's go. Right rudder in. I'm gonna put my virtual headphones on soon, but I love the sound. Okay, engine is in the green. Keep that on center line, Tim. 40. 50. 60. And let's go airborne. Keep that right rudder in, allow that airspeed to increase, not too much pitch up. Goodbye, Bakersfield. A little bit nose down trim. That's our 500 feet mark, so we can kind of start gently our turn to the west. 15-degree turn. Let's enjoy this clear weather, guys, because it's going to change soon. Well, let's stick to this heading, because we need to catch that radial anyway. Let's go to a safer climb setting, so fuel flow into the green. Just remove a bit of my right rudder. Bakersfield traffic, Skyhawk Papa Hotel Tango, India Mike is leaving the traffic pattern area to the southwest, currently 1,500 up to 4,500 Bakersfield. Thank you for following, Cirrus. Thanks. No. There goes the headphone, virtual headphone. Keep that climb in. Beautiful takeoff. Thanks, Ben. I liked it too. I'm still keeping my landing lights on because we're relatively still near the traffic area. Just want to be as visible as possible for any other aircraft. One thing that I'm noticing is a little bit of a left turn tendency. And I know that my yoke is fine. As you can see, I'm not doing anything. It's turning to the left. It might be wind. But the first thing that came to mind was, did I forget about something in the pre-flight? Some flap lever that was down. Man, this is so cool. This will never get boring, guys. Wow. "41 nautical miles. First reference point is at a highway. While we are climbing, landing lights off. Hey, Giant Unicorn, welcome. No leading of the engine yet, while we're still in the climb. You can see the EGT is not that low, which is good. Also the engine sound is good. A2A pilot, welcome on board. Good to see ya. There's Bakersfield City. 3,000 feet. No other drone traffic yet. And again, I have to admit that that kind of surprises me. And although I have turned on PilotEdge, I know. Can someone just look if I'm still on PilotEdge on the map? I'm PA aware. Because I know the guys have been working on this server and they disconnect pilots all the time. But, well, it's currently active PilotEdge time. But I would have expected to see more drone traffic. So that might, well, got me thinking whether I'm still connected or not. Thank you, Kimo, for checking. I'm still on the map. So I'm still on PilotEdge. Thanks. 3,500, almost at our altitude. As you can see, the radial, nav1 radial is creeping in on us to 4. And we can see our visual reference point, at least the lake over there in front of us. And the highway is over there. I don't know if you guys can see, but here it crosses us. I think this is it, or did we already pass it? No. No, it's over there. Yeah. So that's good. Still that left turning tendency is there, so I'm expecting that that will be winds. Winds aloft. That 10 knot wind. And we can check, by the way, using our DME. Because we've got a DME now, a stack here, traded for a GPS. There's also an indication that has been calculated based on our speed. And you see that the DME here is decreasing, obviously, because we're flying inbound to Fellows. And based on the speed at which we are approaching Fellows, you can this device can calculate our speed, 80 knots, ground speed. So if you compare it with your indicated speed here, 82, you might have an idea of what the wind is doing. At least the vector that we're getting in front of us, vector, wind vector. So it's not a real strong, perhaps even a zero wind, headwind. But it's an interesting way to determine what the wind speeds are at your current altitude, if you've got a DME. Also, I guess with a GPS, especially an advanced one here in Flight Sim or in the real world, it also reads out a ground speed. So you always got current winds aloft information with you. Yeah, this is definitely the highway. I mean, I really like these textures. They're so pretty. But perhaps that's me, and I've passed my cruising altitude. And that's why I guess an approach of how to, well, stay more aware of this stuff is to more regularly do a overall critical test. It should be a habit almost. So not only setting this particular mental flag on my cruising altitude, but just doing a overall critical check each and every time. I guess each minute or so, just quickly. So reduce RPM. I will just keep it at a cruise setting, something like 2100 or so. So that increases our speed. Thank you for your donation, Big Mac. Thank you. Much appreciated. Thanks. Oh, no climb. Keep it in. There's our lake, visual reference point, and we've got our inbound radial a little bit to the right side of us. Nose down, nose down, nose down. And no drone traffic yet. Or do I see some in the distance? No, I think I can see Taft, but there's 4,500, so let's pull on that yoke. Not trim yet, just wait, because the airspeed will now seep off a bit. So we wait until we've got a stable configuration. Still my fuel flow is a bit high. 2000 RPM will be fine. So again, let's wait until we've got a stable configuration to pull a little bit on that yoke. Airspeed decreases still, and it seems to decrease ever more so. Oh, a little bit too low. I like to have a cruising speed of 100 or so. Need to stick a little bit to the right here because we're losing our needle. Felix, drone traffic? Yeah, it's not really drones. It's just AI traffic, which is generated by PilotEdge. I'm sorry. I'm calling that drone traffic. I don't mean really drones, but not real weather. Oh, there was a follow. I totally missed about that. That's Alex. Thank you for following, Alex. Welcome on board. Yeah, I can see Taft. I can see some blips in the distance. Don't know if that is just scenery or traffic, but there's Taft. Now we've got a kind of like a stable configuration. So now we lean a bit, but it will also change our engine power. And how should we lean? We discussed about that last episode. First, I'm gonna lean until. Thank you for following, Metia. Welcome. Lean until we got top EGT, exhaust gas temperature. Ah, drone. AI. No, this is not AI. This is the military air route, guys. These are military aircraft. Totally forgot about that. You can see 3 of them in formation. It's very tiny. So cool. Ha. But I should have noticed them while we were flying. So that's bad. So as a VFR pilot, as a private pilot, look outside, Tim. Look outside. That sticky note should be on top. Anyway, EGT is, I guess, also on top. Let's lean it a little bit more to see if we can. Yeah, it's going higher up again. Lean it a bit more. And now it goes down a bit. So enrichen it. So now it's on peak. And now we need to go 50 degrees. 50 degrees or 25? What was it? Thank you for following P3R on. Welcome on board. Oh, let's stay on track here. Downdraft, downdraft. Ridge of peaks. So now I'm gonna push in the mixture still a little bit more. 50 degrees below peak, and that would be the best performance. Not the most economical setting, but the best performance. Less wear on the engine. We're now 25 degrees below. And now we are about 50. Cool. Again, need some nose down trim. We're perfectly on track to fellows. 26, 27 nautical miles. No autopilot, just by hand. Well, the trim, you could call the trim the original old school autopilot. Hey Dazen, welcome on board. There's Taft. Well, we're flying very much high up, so there's no need to tune into any frequency here. I'm looking at the terrain ahead, and it's nice that we try to stick to 4,500, but I guess that's too low looking at the terrain. So let's just gradually keep that climb in. Claude, there's a small orange needle you can use on the EGT guides as a reference. Yeah, that's what it's there for. You're absolutely right. So I was kind of like, well, not guessing. I knew where the top EGT temperature was. But what I could have done is use this particular knob to set this orange static reference needle to the top, and then I can much more easily infer where my 50-degree drop is. Claude, you're right. Thanks. What nice, guys. This is so nice. With 45 souls on board. Welcome, guys. If you are not following me on Twitch and you would like to, because you'd like to get notified as soon as I'm flying and jump aboard and suggest me ways of how I can improve my flying, or share tricks or tips, or meet fellow pilots, A2A pilots, or pilots that are serious about flying training, then hit that purple follow button. Much appreciated as well. Let me know that you enjoy the channel. Yeah, Claude, I knew, but it's always good to get reminded that the EGT needle is there to get used. Guys, do you see something? What I'm seeing as well in the distance? I can see some clouds, perhaps that overcloud layer that we've been talking about in our flight planning, which was at what altitude? 2000, and there was also another scatter layer a little bit south of Oceano at 1300. So that's the cloud layer that we need to look out for, not overfly but underfly it. I'm thirsty. Do you use the DME function on your Saitek radio panel as well? No, Captain Cripple. No, I know I can, but I'd rather just use the virtual one here. Also, for those who are using these Saitek panels, I published my profile, uncertified pilot profile, on the Prepar3D profile server. So if you got the software, you can download that as well, just for free. And it includes all the settings that I'm using right now, and it works just fine. For example, also including, let me just turn off TrackIR for you guys, including that the Saitek radio panel displays light up only when my avionics are on and there's electrical power, which is nice. So as soon as I turn on my avionics, then also the Saitek panel lights up, which is kind of cool. I used the parking. There was also a park and brake lever here on my Saitek panel. Well, we don't have any gear, retractable gear here on this Cessna, so I'm using that as my park and brakes, which is kind of nice. Set to that, and it's all conditional, so it's not like it's just control dot on each side, but it checks whether the park and brakes are already set or not using SimConnect. So and also a few switches as well. So yeah, it's over there. If you have Saitek and use SPAD.neXt, if you have Saitek and you're not using SPAD.neXt, you should. It's a great interface of programming your Saitek panel. You can program anything, not just flight simulator things, but keyboard strokes, repeated ones after 50 milliseconds. You can do anything you like, which is really cool also for a streamer. So we're much higher right now. We're still a bit in a climb. Well, not really. Again, we're now not at a westbound evenly numbered cruising altitude, but as you know, I hope you know, as the terrain goes up a bit, we're now currently, I think, under 3,000 feet AGL terrain-wise, so that means that rule doesn't really apply to us. And also, I think it's not that much of a strict rule, although I know that if you're on flight following on PilotEdge, the guys will, the controllers will actually notice that and let you know. So let's just keep on flying. In the distance you can see that other terrain there. And it seems even higher, so let's keep on flying. You can see here 50 degrees below, EGT top, peak, so that's good. Engine temperature is good, still got enough fuel. That left turn tendency is a little bit weakened, but it's still there, which would make sense if it's wind specific, because we're still heading to the right direction, so still wind might come from the northwest here, although we've seen on the weather charts that the wind was actually coming from the ocean, so don't know what's going on here. It seems that my yoke is calibrated correctly, at least virtually here, and we didn't have found any weird things going on with our flaps or ailerons. Perhaps it's a torque issue that that might explain it, I guess, because we're at 2200 RPM and the prop is turning to the right. There's a tendency of the airplane to turn to the left, but I guess that's mostly when you're in a high power, full power setting, and especially when you're climbing. But I don't know if that's the effect that we're experiencing right now. Some build-up there in front of us, as you can see. Clouds. Those are not overcast clouds. Now this is also a good time to tune into ATIS. Let's also just tune into Oceano already, 1 to 2.7. Also keep track of our inbound radio to fellows, 13 nautical miles. But it's also good to tune into 80s, because I'm curious to see what the weather is doing on the other side of that mountain ridge. For example, Santa Maria, 80s 121.15. So come to 121.15. Switch. Come to.
Santa Maria Airport Information, Tango, 1946 Zulu, wind 280 at 8, visibility greater than 20 miles, sky conditions ceiling 2,400, overcast, temperature 2.11, altimeter 3008, visual runway 30 in use, landing and departing runway 30. DFR aircraft say direction of flight, all aircraft read back hold short instructions. Advise controller on initial contact, you have Tango.
You have Tango. Well, we don't care about Tango because we're going to Santa Maria, but what we've heard was overcast at 2,100, no scattered anymore, which is good. Doesn't explain those cloud buildups though. But yeah, set our altimeter setting 3008. Also, because we're climbing, thank you, Giant Unicorn, for hosting. Thanks, much appreciated. more passengers, the better. Is while we're climbing, the air gets thinner. And so you can see that the EGT temperature is also decreasing. So that means that we actually need to lean a bit more to stick to that 50-degree difference, right? Bida, thank you for following. Much appreciated. Welcome on board. You can see EGT is now climbing a bit. Increased a bit. Thank you, Sly Wolf. Thank you, guys. I really appreciate it. Seems like a minor thing, but I really appreciate your follows. Now, in the same way, now we're leaned. If we would descend, the same thing could occur as well. Especially if we totally forget about enriching the mixture again, because then the air gets thicker as we descend. So also during descent we need to be very careful of that EGT, and you will also hear the engine having trouble if you're too lean and you're going down. I think we've already experienced that in the previous episode. I think when we were running over the episode before. I don't know for sure. Felix, have you tried Lima 35 Big Bear Airport from Turbine Designs? No, that's a newly released scenery, right? Wasn't it? And it looked pretty. But I'm kind of like neurotic and just sticking to ORBX scenery. Wagner, thank you for following. So I'm hoping that ORBX will release a dedicated airport for the Southern California area. I'm hoping that they're going to release several, like John Wayne. Latin VFR also has a beautiful airport of John Wayne for P3D. Santa Barbara they're working on, I believe. Maybe check ADS. Yeah, I already did chemo. I don't know what airport it was. KSMX? Yeah, I already checked Santa Maria. So I already did that. Still, we're nicely on track. 6.5 nautical miles until Fellows, so that's very, very soon. So we might expect this needle to run off of us even while we're still on track. So we shouldn't keep following it because we know that we're right on top Fellows, and then the needle doesn't know what to tell us anymore, what direction we need to fly at or toward. Then we need to fly our outbound radial. So let's have a look at what that might be. Looking at the charts, that would be bloop 259. And we can already set it if we like. 259. 259. So we'll just keep on flying this heading until we are 0 on the DME, and then catch the radar. Look at that clouds. That's overcast. Looks pretty, by the way, in terms of Active Sky 2016 and active and cloud art. It looks better than NeXt, at least in my opinion here. But we need to be careful now, because we think that it's on 2,000 feet, that overcast, but as you can see, the terrain is going up as well. So that means that there is no room for us to fly underneath it. Here there's a valley, obviously, as you can see. So perhaps it's better just to descend here and underfly that overcast over there. It's going to be exciting. What do you guys think? Felix should be working perfect with ORBX. I wouldn't really see that as a problem. No, Felix, it isn't a problem at all. That scenery of Big Bear would surely work, but I don't know if I would have that software and then ORBX releases also their own. It seems a little bit redundant or a waste of money to me. But on the other side, perhaps they are not going to release any Big Bear airport, and I could have enjoying that airport anyhow. So Big Bear would certainly be an airport that I would like to fly to. High density altitude airport, so that's interesting as well. Same goes for John Wayne. Turbulent Design also did some airports for ORBX in the past. Oh yeah, that's right, Kimo. You're right. Yeah, but it's not really that they're not good scenery designers. That's not what I'm saying at all. It's just like I'd like to just to have one ORBX package. Also, I'd like to see ORBX new installer. Just one installer. Click. This is my software, and it just installs everything. You know what I really like? I would like to have my computer just a dedicated Windows 10 installer that automatically installs my entire flight simulator computer, nothing else. So, or my software, so prepared everything, sets everything in place. And then I would like to have kind of like an Xbox or PlayStation boot up. So I don't like to log into Windows, double click. I just would like to just press that button, start button, and the very next screen or prompt I get when I need to interact with the computer is when I'm in the cockpit. That's what I like to have. And well, through that same kind of weirdness, I like to have just only ORBX scenery, so I don't need to install different I just want one package, boom, install everything of ORBX, done. But that's silly, I know. Especially because that Turbine Design's Big Bear Airport looks gorgeous, at least at looking at these screenshots that I've seen. So as you can see, we have overflown Fellow, 0.8 nautical miles. There's a from reading right now in our nav1, so that's good. We set already the outbound radial. So can we can already fly to 59. But I'm more concerned with the terrain and the clouds. As you can see, they're in the distance. Ay, ay, ay. In case of an engine out, what would we do right now? Well, first take a glide speed. That's the first thing that we need to do. Then already spot a site where we could land. Well, this is rough terrain. I can see a road, but might be handy to land near the road or especially on the road. Anything else that we need to take into consideration here? No, I guess there's no airport here in between. Taft is too far away at this altitude, so I would go for the road. What would you guys do? And I would fly that direction, not go back. Because that's closer to civilization, I think. To pick up the Cessna Skyhawk. Cloud, you could write a batch script if that starts all the applications in order. Yeah, I know. And I've thought about that too. Doing that. But it's just the idea of, I'd just like to have console kind of experience for flight sim. Not with silly controls, and I mean, if we would transfer flight sim to Xbox or PlayStation in its current state, I guess it wouldn't be that sophisticated as it is right now. Although I don't know actually, because the Xbox One or the N1S and new PlayStations will actually be also quite powerful computers. But still, I would like to have that kind of experience, and also have the option of using all these accessories, obviously this hardware, but just one button and there it is. Hey Frosty, welcome. Okay. Thank you, Cloud. IMC is still above the ocean, not over Oceano. Let's have a listen at Santa Maria once more.
Santa Maria Airport information. Uniform 195.
It has changed from Tango to Uniform.
28158.
At 8.
Greater than 20 miles. Sky conditions ceiling 2,400 overcast.
400?
2.11. Altimeter 3008. Visual runway 30.
Was it 2400 overcast? Because that means that the cloud layer is actually
all aircraft read back home short instructions.
Is going up, which makes sense again because the sun is rising and well, the grounds get heated. Let me stick to this altitude, not go any lower. As you can see, without leaning or doing anything with the mixture, the EGT is now went up. So it's continuously changing based on the air density, and so it's good always to check while you're climbing or descending, either way. So we tuned in COM1 in Oceano. We're 7.6 miles away from Fellows. We're flying inbound to catch that 259 radial outbound from Felix. That would bring us right across Fellows, and we've got the NAV2, which also is now connected with that Morro Bay, what was it called? Morro Bay VOR to triangulate that position of Oceano. So that's also good. And also, guys, again, I'm not doing this just in preparation of those cat ratings on PilotEdge. Using flight following, especially in this dangerous case, would be highly recommended, because then controllers would also have a watch out on you, especially when you're flying into this weather. They can give you better weather advisories, and in case you get lost or get into trouble VFR in IMC conditions, they can help you out, and they know exactly where you're up to, how many, what kind of airplane you have. Because if you need to do that radio announcement while you're in trouble, that is well, obviously much more challenging. Now this is over, guys, and it's getting very close. And as VFR pilots, we need to stay away at least 1,000 feet away from the clouds, and that's because otherwise we cannot see. And why is that important? Or we cannot see other aircraft. Why is that important? Because we have no controllers controlling us. So if we were IFR, then obviously controllers know where we are on their radars, and well, it doesn't matter whether we see or not, controllers guide us. But as a VFR pilot, we are responsible. So all the entire airspace system then relies on our visuals, right? The clouds are much more nearby than I think. Still, these are not really volumetric clouds, as you can see. They're still turning. I don't know if you guys can see on stream. Bit ugly. See the shadows here of the clouds. Also a way to know where they are. So let's stick a bit to the left side here. Some scenery loading. Let me put my feet on the pedals here, in case we get some rough winds here. Still, we're not on that radial. So we actually need to go a little bit more to the right to get to... Well, let's just go to the right anyway. Woohoo! This is cool. Also a little bit exciting. Because, yeah, we're now trapped in between terrain, which is not easygoing terrain, and a cloud layer. So we cannot go any more high up. Yeah, so what I'm planning to do here is following the terrain here to the left, then go to the right. Or should we go to the right over there? Well, let's get to the ocean first, because I know that then the terrain will... Oops! And that is how a VFR flight goes into IMC. Fuck! We're fucked, guys! Okay, so first thing that we're gonna do is climb. We're gonna fly over. Mixture in. 500 feet per minute. I don't know when this visibility lessens, but we cannot run any risk of flying into the terrain. So what I'm doing now is just make a turn. This is IFR flying suddenly, guys. Only instruments, my gosh. So good speed. Ah, there we got terrain. Okay, cool. But that was not safe at all. Also kind of unexpected, because I didn't see any clouds, and suddenly the visibility got very worse. Well, you should actually look at YouTube. VFR in IMC conditions is the worst ever, and there are also ATC recordings. They're so scary and, well, really terrifying. And this is certainly a flight that in real life you would not dare. So also in review then, even though it's a flight sim, I try to approach this flight training as realistic as possible. See, the terrain is much more lower over there. I'm going to do that. I should perhaps not have done this flight, or noticed that if the clouds were 2000 feet MSL, not AGL, I should have taken into account the terrain already. I was just thinking about 2000 feet AGL overcast near ocean and near the near Oceano. But obviously this weather was already a little bit over the coast, right? And I knew that there was some high terrain, and that was the mistake. Interesting, very educational. Okay, lake over there. Well, I remember a lake on our flight planning. It is that Twitchell Reservoir. I believe. I made a mistake before of misidentifying a lake. I said, oh, that's that lake, while it was actually on the left side, and then it completely messes up your navigation and orientation. So it's always good also to look very closely to the shapes, but also use some other visual reference points to triangulate or confirm your...
29 Oceano, 7 Juliet.
Ha! We got someone on Oceano. That's always nice. Also on stream. So you can see there's also a river to the right, or some lake. So that's how things can become quite complex or confusing. Not knowing that you have a problem and misinterpreted a lake, and then suddenly try to infer your entire route based on a mismatched, misidentified reference point. So far so good. I do believe, by the way, that my decision of climbing was a good one when I was in the clouds in IMC.
Right base Oceano, 7 Juliet.
How far are we away from Oceano using Twitchell Reservoir? Bloop. That is 20 nautical miles. Okay. So, considering making an announcement as well to the other pilots to let them know that we are inbound. Ah, there the terrain goes flat. I think we made it, guys. I think we made it. Now, no reason...
Final approach, Oceano, 29er.
No reason to celebrate yet. Because we still need to catch Oceano. It could be over there, could be over there, there. So, rather, let's catch that radial. Sorry. I have a clock here on the wall mounted, and I was curious to see what time it is. Gorgeous. But I like these I like these clouds. Very nice. Look really realistic. – 2,000 feet. Let's trim. Got a nice EGT setting. Gorgeous. No, we know there's another aircraft in Oceano, but we do not know whether he's still in the pattern. It's good to be aware and prepared. Yeah, Felix, you're right. A plan if IMC occur would have been a good idea. Yeah. So during flight planning, at the beginning of this stream, I was obviously contemplating VMC or marginal VMC, and also some alternate airports. But I was just mentioning Taft. Well, actually, the probability would be that we would choose to go to an alternate airport because of these marginal VMC conditions that would perhaps during our flight worsen, and we fly into trouble as we did today. So that diversion scenario would something that obviously you should rehearse before we even took off at Bakersfield, which I didn't do explicitly. So yeah, it's not just about during a flight planning just to see where are some airports and where can I land in case I have an engine out, but in this case there was an obvious scenario that had to do with weather. Nice textures. So what I'm doing now is, well, I don't need to descend. That's not what I was planning to do. I would like to catch that radial. Very nice scenery here. Also very much like to see some clouds. Also the cloud shadows are very pretty. Let me check. That's 24. Yeah, right. That makes sense. And we needed 25.9. Yeah. What is our heading indicator doing? That's something that I should have checked as well. My magnetic compass checking, verifying that with the heading indicator to see if it's still in sync. And it is. Otherwise you think you're flying a certain heading while you're actually flying another. But we are almost there. I think I see the coast. How nice. Looks very, very pretty. Now, my first thought would be that actually Oceano is already over there, but I need to make a left turn soon. Or still wait and fly this direction, and I think I shouldn't. I should have already made an announcement. Thank you for following Finland, spotting. I think Oceano is over there, Well, we've got a highway here to the left. Let's do some visual referencing. Boom. Highway will bring us right to Oceano, as you can see, alongside Nipomo. So that's a guideline that we can use as well, and that confirms our current approach of trying to catch that radial. So I think we're on the right way. So that means that Oceano is over there. I think we're about 10 nautical miles from Oceano, so let's just do an announcement anyway. We're at the southeast, 10 nautical miles, 2,000 feet inbound for full stop landing. We're going to go to runway 29 for a full stop. Okay. Oceano traffic, Skyhawk Papa Hotel Tango, India Mike is about 10 miles southeast of the airport at 2,000 inbound for a straight-in full stop landing runway 29. Yeah, Oceano. Very nice scenery. Man, I would like to stick to Oceano before we do our cat ratings and get out of here. Nipomo to the left. Is that true? Is that Nipomo? Oh, yeah, that's Nipomo, I guess. Where is Oceano? There comes the needle. Very slowly. I think it's over there, guys. I'm gonna go to a slower speed here. I also turn on my landing lights. Mixture is full in. Full tanks to both. Lights are on. I think that is Oceano. I almost know it for sure, but you never know. Especially when I look at the handy indicator and the direction that we need to fly at. And it's right pattern 1-1, so it's left pattern 2-9. Yeah, so coming in from the from the right side. So we're now coming in from the north, well, from the east. Oceano traffic, Skyhawk Papa Hotel Tango, India Mike is 4 miles northeast of the airport at 1,800 inbound for a full stop landing runway 29, Oceano. That's a better radio call. Okie down. Now, at a non-towered airport, it's not really recommended to go straight in. It's better just to overfly the field, or especially like the FAA recommends, enter on downwind. Why? Because then you can check whether there is other traffic in the pattern, because not all traffic is transmitting on the radio. Below 100, first notch of flaps. Yeah, that's Oceano. There's Oceano, guys! And it's gorgeous weather. Man, looks so pretty here. Reminds me a little bit of Europe, to be honest. We've got some islands in the Netherlands. Texel. And one of those islands, Texel, is, well, it looks like this. Okay, that's one notch of flaps, second notch of flaps. Perhaps a little bit too soon, but hey. Bye, Ben. See you another time. Thanks for visiting. Okay. Regulate our speed with pitch, a little bit nose down. Island in the distance? Oh no, that's just the coast. No other traffic in sight. Drone traffic, AI traffic. Oceano traffic, Skyhawk Papa Hotel Tango, India Mike is on long final, runway 29 for a full stop, Oceano. Reduce that speed, it's a little bit high. I hear another aircraft. Very far, but I can hear it. It might be AI traffic. In that case, it doesn't comply or consider our announcements, but wow, it really looks so cool. Oh, I'm definitely gonna stick here for a few episodes, guys, don't you think? Just a few traffic patterns, especially with some crosswinds. Where is that other airplane? I can hear it. It's in on my tail. Yeah, Kim, it looks good, right? Very nice. I think also Vector has made it much more pretty. I've been here before with the one of my earlier streams. My first stream episode ever started here in Oceano. But it didn't look that pretty. And I guess that's because I didn't have OpenLC, I mean. I didn't have OpenLC of North America. But now I need to focus. I'm too fast and I'm a bit too high. Come on. Focus. Again, slower than usual, so 55 knots should be my touchdown speed. I've got some trees there. Also, if the winds were coming right from the ocean, they would be blocked by the trees. And so as soon as I fly lower than the tops of those trees, I might suddenly get a wind change, which I think is not simulated here in Flight Sim, but it's something that I'm noticing. Someone cut that tree down. There we are, there we are. Okay, control, 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 control. Control, control, control. A little bit bumpy, but right on center line. Flaps up. Look how cute, guys. Welcome to Oceano. Let's just roll out aerodynamic braking. Pulling on that yoke helps us to slow down a bit quicker.
Oceano traffic, Cessna 122 Kilo Sierra is going to be taxiing for runway 29 Oceano.
Ah, 29, right. Let's announce that we are clear of the runway. Oceano traffic, Skypop Hotel Tango Mike is clear runway 29, heading to the ramp. Oceano. There we are. Look how cute. Man, it's such a nice airport. This is where I started the channel, guys. Landing lights off, strobe lights off. We already lean for ground. Open a window. Let's go over there. I guess that's the other guy over there. Or is it AI? No, I think that's the other guy. Cool. And that's PilotEdge. You meet other fellow pilots as well. Where are we going to park? Some people flow there. A mechanic that is working on an airplane. Yeah, looks familiar. So nice to be here. And perfect scenery, guys. It looks so cool. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is just make this turn here to the left and then park to the right of this bonanza. Like the grass. Woohoo! It is so cool, guys, this hobby. So glad you're with me. That's not a safe place to park your car, whoever. There we are. There's someone walking there to the right side, so we need to be careful of that person. Let's call him Fritz. Call her
Oceano
Fritz.
traffic, Cessna 122 Kilo Sierra is taking
It's
off
a girl.
runway 29 Oceano.
And someone's going to take off. I'm going to witness that as soon as we park here to the left side. There we are. 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 And our main wheels stop. Well, not straight, but straight enough. Okay, transponder set to off. Avionics off. Cut off. There he goes. Magneto switch off. Batteries off. Oh yeah. That's PilotEdge for you. I mean, this is so cool. We're back. This is actually where we started. You're right. You're right, Ben. This is where I started my channel. I think perhaps...
Oceano traffic, Cessna 122 Kilo Sierra is going to be departing to the east in Oceano.
Hey, I did turn off my batteries. Or my switch panel, but it didn't switch off here virtually. Yeah, this is why I started off with my 182. My first episode. How weird it is to be here again. I didn't expect it to be as weird and as cool as it is. Nice weather. Look at the textures. Also some nice shadows on the textures even. Although you can see it's not volumetric, and I guess that's good for the frame rates, but I mean, if I look at console games, they have much more prettier clouds. But anyhow, park and brakes should have been set. Control wheel lock on. virtual headphones off. Let's prevent cross-reading. Well, we don't have any lower wing here set, so that's good. That's that. Open the door. Seatbelts removed. Let's put on the pedo tube cover. It's on, and also some wheel chocks. I don't know if we've got any tie-down spots, but let's just do it because we're home. We're home, Chewy. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Jones. Thank you, A2A pilot. Bye. Thank you for being my passengers and sharing this flight today. Man, this was fun. And I'd also like to just stick to Oceano in the next episode and do some flying here. This is such a cute airport and such nice scenery. We can also just thank you for donating, Cloud. 10 euros. My gosh, thank you. Thank you so much. 160 euros right now for that black gaming chair. Well, it's getting closer. Thank you so much. It's really appreciative. Very encouraging. But I'd like to stick to this airport and do just some traffic pattern flying. Also, perhaps have some crosswinds here. I guess near the ocean, that might be the case. Scubberjack, thanks. Not a problem. Great stream. Thank you. And enjoy your day wherever you are. And then what we're going to do is start our CAT ratings. I have no idea what the first CAT rating is, other than it's from flying from this airfield to another non-towered airfield. Well, we need to study for that and file a flight plan and get our first official CAT rating. And that's going to be logged and administered by the PilotEdge controllers, so that's going to be cool. But before we do, we can just stick to Oceano and just have a sightseeing tour. Also like to see the coast. It looks gorgeous, the textures. Perhaps just visit San Luis to the north, or Santa Maria just for fun, just to see what the area is like. This is Vandenberg. That's a military airport, as you can see, with this restricted area around it. Also got Paso Robles to the north. I also got Northern California ORBX scenery, which I'm also kind of getting curious about how that looks. But anyway, what we can do is just do these small hops here, just to enjoy the scenery. I really like it. Nice to see you guys are enjoying it as well. And then we're going to start our CAT ratings. And I guess our CAT ratings will eventually lead us back to the LA area, where we need to, well, eventually also visit Delta airspace airports, which I'm already familiar with, as you know, as Santa Maria would be a Delta airspace. I'm already familiar with the procedures, although you will always learn with each and every flight. But eventually we also need to cross Charlie airspaces and Bravo airspace. We even need to depart from a Bravo airspace, class airspace airfield, like for example a Los Angeles airfield. I don't know if it's allowed, if you can do that with a Cessna Skyhawk. I think it should. Departing Los Angeles International Airport, LAX, with a Cessna might be cool and quite challenging, I think. So that is also going to happen in the near future when we're going to get our CAT ratings. Guys, that was episode 38. We're at Oceano. Again, thank you for being my trusty co-pilots and passengers. I really enjoyed your presence here. Again, thank you for your follows and your donations. Much appreciated. Thank you. That will help me expand on the channel. And I will see you very soon with episode 39, where we're just going to venture out here on the coast in Oceano, have a look around, visit some other airports, just have fun before we start our CAT ratings. Guys, I hope to see you soon with the next episode. Bye.
Welcome to the Uncertified Pilot. I'm Tim, and this is my flight simulator.